Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ascension Board of Adjustments is now called to order. I'm the Vice Chairman. The Chairman is not here tonight. I'll be running the meeting. That's on the second one? I'll be running the meeting tonight. Right now, we'd like to have the roll call of members. First of all, Miss Kathy Desideer,
Present.
Stephen McGowan,
Present.
William Lee,
Present.
and Paul Johnson and Brad Walker are not here. At this particular point in time, the public comment period, if you want to discuss anything on the agenda for tonight, now's not the time to do so. This is basically, if you like this board, hate this board, like what we do, this is a good time to let us have it if you want to. And everybody says, no, I'm not touching it. Okay, we'll call, public comment period is closed. I'd like to have a motion to accept the minutes of April 26th of 2011 meeting.
As corrected. So moved.
Second.
As corrected.
All opposed? Motion passed. I'd like to have the acceptance of the written decisions of April 26th of 2011 meeting.
I can make a motion.
I second.
Motion, any objection? Motion passes. All right, public hearing now is going to be considered for the following variances. First up tonight is ID 215811. It's a 5.22 acre tract for Henry Juvenville. It's located on the south side of LA Highway 405, approximately 1,020 feet west of Mulberry Grove Road. Anyone here ready tonight? There's a sign-in sheet right over here on the my right. Just sign in and approach the don't have a pen again?
Staff.
Is this at the point I complain about staff? Okay, sir, please give us your name and tell us the reason for the variance.
My name is Brian Aguilar. I'm representing the Jumonvilles on this particular variance request. What we have here, do y'all have a copy of the
Yes, sir.
proposed survey? What they're asking a variance for is there's two requirements per Ascension Parish that you cannot subdivide a tract that is smaller than 1 acre and smaller than 200 feet in frontage, I believe is a requirement. 100 feet in frontage, I'm sorry, in this particular zone, which is conservation. And what we're asking is a variance to subdivide this tract. The tract is not even 200 feet wide, so just dividing it in half would be less than 100 feet for each tract. The other variance that we're asking for is a size requirement. There is a minimum size of 1 acre, and to subdivide this out for 1 acre, we just couldn't get either the width across the front without hitting the two houses that are existing, as you see on the map. The reason for this subdivide and variance is because they're trying to refinance their home, and they won't refinance it with two houses on one tract of land. And that's what they're wishing to do, to separate these two houses on two separate tracts of land.
Okay, sir. Any questions from the board?
Now, the only access road to the second house will go across the lot for the first house?
Yes, ma'am. As it is now, it's just a gravel driveway, and they own both residences, or I think their daughter owns the other residence. So it will still be in the family, and you know, if you would like, we could ask them that they could split that difference maybe and put a private servitude of access. Is that what you're?
trying to make sure that if the daughter ever chose to do something with her land, that, there wouldn't be any problems involved.
Well, they both front the highway, and they both have access to the highway.
Okay.
If they ever did decide to
okay.
put in another driveway, that would just be a matter of putting a culvert in.
Any other further questions? I'm gonna go ahead and open up public hearing.
No, she covered it.
All right, at this time, I'd like to open up public hearing, just to give you a chance, anybody for or against the request of this variance, you may step up, sign in. No one? I'll go ahead and close public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Any other further questions by the board?
I move we accept as written. The two homes already exist. All we're doing is giving a separation of property.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion to accept as written. We
I'll
also
second.
have a second. Have any opposition? Motion passed, sir.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, ID 2159.11, Lot 109, 110, and 111, a Creekside subdivision for B&B Holding LLC.
My name is Kathy Bourdelaw with B&B Office Holdings. I'm the developer of the third filing of Creekside subdivision. We are asking for a variance. I think y'all have been given two exhibits. We had asked for an adjustment on the front building line back in '08. When they granted the variance, they also included that the houses had to have rear loading carports or garages. We've given you two exhibits. The first one shows all three lots, and it shows the footprint of the smallest house that we have built in Creekside, and we've built the majority of the houses in there. And you can see that with a carport in the rear, that it doesn't fit on the lot. It goes into the pipeline servitude. I've tried to work with the pipeline people to see if we could put a carport, a driveway, and to use their words, they said, you can't even put a doghouse on top of the servitude. That's theirs. So,
They're so picky.
excuse me?
They're so picky.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to try to work with them again, but as of yet, they have said no. And you can see that we cannot build a house where you have a rear loader. The second exhibit that we gave you shows specifically Lot 111. And this is a house, our house planner has put together this house plan. And on the front right side, that is a garage that goes into the house, and it will fit within the building area. Now, he's still working on lots 109 and 110, but we've gotten a house that will fit, but we need a variance on all three lots where we can have something similar to 111, where we can enter the house with a garage. And so that's why we're asking for the variance.
Anybody have any questions from the board?
Okay. 111's proposed residence, that's a double garage or that's a
Yes, ma'am.
single garage?
No, it's double.
And how far from the garage to the street?
You can
'Cause it
see
looks
it's labeled,
approximately
excuse me?
maybe 15 foot from the building line.
It fronts on the building line. It will be touching the building line, and that's labeled. And you can see that the garage is within the house area. And it's 15 feet from the right-of-way line, which is 11 and a half feet.
Well,
Ma'am?
my biggest problem is, and the reason we requested the 30-foot before, was because people buy houses, yes, and they can park their two cars in the garage, but people also have guests.
Yes, ma'am.
And these people don't have any place to park without being into the street, which then you develop a public safety problem. Has it been explored, instead of having 3 lots, that maybe you redo that part and have only 2 lots?
Yes, somewhat, but it's not I mean, all that's gonna do is give you width, not depth.
Well, it'll give you width, and it'll give you something to put a garage possibly on the side instead of in the very front with no room for cars to park or a drive path.
All right, let's see. Okay, on the plat, the way it was adopted, it says lots 109 through 111 are to have rear entry carports.
Yes, and what I'm saying to you is I don't know that from a public safety standpoint that a front carport is going to be a front garage is going to be the answer. So what I'm suggesting is that you consider a side garage and have 2 lots versus 3 lots. I think we would be able to work more with a side entry garage than we are a front entry, because you're going to barely have 15 foot between the garage and the street.
Between the street right-of-way, you still have another 11 and a half feet until you actually get to the street.
Well,
And I mean, a parking place, a typical parking place in, whether it be a shopping center or the parking lot outside, a parking place is 18 feet long, and that's for a full-size vehicle. Nowadays, we have so many smaller, compact vehicles that,
but the problem is we also have longer vehicles too, as well. So, like I said, from a public safety issue, we're going to be talking about putting 3 houses in a curve with no place for them to park as far as the drive pad.
well, I mean, they can park in front of the house.
Well, but that's part of the issue. That's
Right.
a street. And if they're going to have houses upon them, they should have safe places for their guests to park.
Right, right. Between the front, the proposed house that's shown, between the front of the house and the edge of the street, you have 26 and a half feet.
So we show a 15-foot build line, but you're saying there's another 11 feet on the
Yeah,
other side of
because
this map that
that's
we're
not what
seeing.
it's
That's not
showing.
on the map.
That's what
That's-
I'm asking.
We are
That-
assuming that this is the street on the other side of the 15.
That is the street right-of-way. You have a 50-foot right-of-way, and you have a 27-foot street that fits within the 50-foot right-of-way.
I see it.
Okay, Lance, from the curve, because the second line they're pointing at, they're saying that's 15 foot.
Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm asking you, is there, between what you're showing on this is 15 foot, is there another 11 foot before you enter that garage?
Probably so, yes, ma'am, because the road itself is not 50 feet wide. The road is going to roughly be about 27 feet, counting the back of the curb, but to the curb, to the other side of the curb. Just like with any street, you know, you have 60 feet of right-of-way on streets, but the roads themselves are not 60 feet. They're roughly around 22 feet, 21 feet.
Well, I understand that part, but
It's going to be the,
what I'm asking you about is, what I'm looking at looks like it's the drive.
no, ma'am,
And
that's
then from the drive to the second dotted line, it's saying 15 foot.
that's the 15-foot building line from the property line. So the property
Okay.
line that goes from the edge of the right-of-way to the
Right.
to the property. So there
Okay.
probably is roughly about 11 feet or so. That's actually from the back of the curb to the property line, or from the street, I guess you would say, if the street was put dead center of the right-of-way.
That's wide enough for a car.
Okay.
That's wide enough for a car, I said, 11 feet. One.
Well, I'm looking at 2 sheets here anyhow, so. Any other further questions, comments? I'm gonna go ahead and open up public hearing. At this time, I'm gonna open up public hearing. Anybody for or against this request, please come up and sign in, please. No one?
Questions? We have questions. Can we come sign in for questions?
Yes, ma'am. Just come on up and we'll try to address your questions. Go ahead and stand.
We were interested in knowing what the square footage of these houses are going to be. Are they going to be comparable to ours? I'm with our homeowners association for the first two
That's fine.
filings.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Can you tell us what the square footage is going to be on these houses?
The house that's shown here is over 1,300 square feet. I think the smallest house we have now is, the restrictions say to 1,250. They can go down to 1,250. This one that's shown here on 111 is larger than that. Yes. It's comparable to the smallest house that's built.
So they're going to be like the third filing street?
50 square feet.
Yes. And the majority, 50% of the houses in all of Creekside are front loaders. So they're not gonna look different. We're just trying to get a variance on what was approved.
And that's fine. I
But they're
think,
going to be closer to the street, correct?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
And I think she answered your question because you specifically asked about square footage.
Yes, she did
And,
answer
and
my
I'm
question.
allowing this kind of questioning not to, but I think this needs to be answered in this particular spot because I think it's going to satisfy some of the questions coming from the board as well. So if you don't mind, we have one other person that wants to ask the question.
No, I mean, that was pretty much it. I mean, just looking at what the issue was, period, whether you're saying it's a front load garage.
So
the rest of the
1,250
neighborhood
square
has that,
It'll
be within
the restrictions.
Yeah, what the issue really was, period, with the lots. I mean, I see.
And keep in mind that the houses that we build, we still have to sell them. So
Right.
we're not gonna put a tent up. I mean, we won't be able to
Well,
sell.
and that's right, but her question
Sure.
specifically said, what's the square footage?
Yes.
I think that was their biggest concern because they're property owners. I say it's your property owners, I'm assuming, especially if you're the president of the homeowners association. So that's all wanted to bring out, make
Yes.
sure that we had that out. No one else in the audience have anything? You're good, huh? Okay. Okay, public hearing is now closed. Any other further questions from the board?
I'm going to make a motion that we reject as requested. First off, there's no real hardship that's been presented. Second off, I don't feel comfortable from a public safety standpoint that we're going to put the house that close to the street and not have what I consider adequate parking. Plus, these three homes are going to be considerably closer to the street than all the other homes in the neighborhood, so I don't think it's going to be conducive.
Well, they're going to be 5 feet closer, right?
I think they're going to be closer than that
But-
from what I'm looking at, that most of these other lots, you have a substantially larger area to build upon, so they're not closer to the street.
Okay, we have a motion to deny.
And forgive me, I was not here for the first one in '08, it looks like. But we gave them a 5 foot on the frontage. Can that be taken back to the 20-foot build line? Would it still, which would also possibly satisfy some of the safety?
Without making the house too small.
These lots, especially 109 and 110, but also 111, there's not enough buildable space in order to keep up the square footage like they're worried about, and to put a rear entry on the houses. You just can't fit it on there. And we have worked on this for probably over a year, and these are the last 3 lots that are in the subdivision. And we probably have put off dealing with this because they are so difficult to build on. And so we're trying to put houses on there that are comparable to what is there now. Like I said, 50% of the houses there now are front loaders, so they're not going to look any different. We're just trying to fit houses on there. Hardship, you know, if I lose a lot, I mean, we're talking about dollars here. So, and that is a big hardship. I'm just trying to put something and get as big a house on there as I possibly can, so it will fit in with the rest of the neighborhood. The restrictions say that I can put a house that's 1,250 square feet, which is 100 to somewhere close to 200 square feet less than what is there in the surrounding area. I'm trying to avoid that and put what will blend in with the neighborhood. So that's all we're trying to do.
I understand, but like I said, I think that, yes, if you lose a lot, it does mean that you make less money. But I think generally, you're going to make something that's going to be better for the neighborhood and for the subdivision, so.
Well, let me also remind you that it is not a significant proof of hardship to show greater profit would result if the variance was granted. In other words, we can't grant a variance, or will not, just because it's dollar and cents,
Sure.
okay? We have to show proof of unnecessary hardship.
Okay.
And your quote was, the proof was not
No,
given.
we haven't had any proof about a hardship. And my whole thing is the whole reason we asked in the beginning, and it was agreed upon to have the rear entry because of a public safety standpoint, and we were letting you put the house closer to the street. So now, not only are we supposed to put the parking closer to the street, but also keep the house closer to the street. And I don't feel like that we're doing a service to the community by allowing it to do that. So what I would suggest is that you consider the 2 lots or consider the smaller houses.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion on the floor
Okay,
to deny the request,
I'll second that now.
okay? We have also a second now. We have any opposition? No opposition. Variance is not granted.
Okay, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes everything we have on our agenda tonight. We have no new business, no old business.
We're looking for people.
Oh, we're looking for people to come up here and sit on the board and get scrutinized with the rest of us. So if you want to be up here with us, then put your application in and we'll be more than happy to help you out.
It's a real opportunity.
I'd like to make a motion, adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
We got a second. All opposed? Motion passes.